This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
And we're not done. The next day, July 4th. That's right. A 4th of July show. Waylon Jennings is going to join you guys in Memphis, Tennessee at the Liberty Bowl. And you'll be in there with Ricky and Robert taking on yourself and Ole. Y'all go to a draw, but there's only 1,900 fans there. What do you remember about being in Memphis here?
I think probably my self-preservation memory kicked in because I can't remember that one. But if it was that few of people, that would have been a huge financial, I think, what loss, right? Had to be. I don't know what the rent was on those stadiums, but God Almighty, 1,900 people. That was, in those days, and probably still today to a degree, that's Jerry Lawler country, and that's Memphis, Tennessee, and their own territory and all that stuff. And they were used to having wrestling all the time. Why that house was not better than that, I wished I had the answer.
It's you're starting to see a pattern here where it's a great idea, getting all these folks together, but you have to wonder after running 3 stadium shows, is this the right call? 10,900 in Philadelphia, only 6,300 in Washington. Really disappointing. 1,900 in Memphis, but guess what? We're not done. The next day we're going home. July 5th, we're going to have Waylon Jennings and a performance by a skydiving team join us in Charlotte, North Carolina for 23,000 folks. I believe this is the biggest show in the history of Jim Crockett Promotions. And going on last in the main event is Ric Flair and Ricky Morton in a steel cage match. This is the show where Flair would arrive by helicopter. And this to me is just incredible when you think about it. For years, people would say, oh, Jim Crockett would have never went out of business if he just stayed east of the Mississippi or some such. But my goodness, when you're in your backyard where you guys are branded, you're a part of the local fabric of the town or the community, 23,000 people. Wow. And you're in here teaming with Ole. Y'all are going to take on Sam Houston and Nelson Royal, who are trying to form a tag team here in 86. Of course, the Andersons get the win. What do you remember about this very special Great American Bash from Charlotte?
Well, the ego in me tells me, damn, we should have had a better spot on that card.
Yeah.
But the real me that was there that day was just glad to be part of it because it was such a huge event. And I think differently now looking back. We all think a little more of ourselves than we should sometimes. But, wrestling those guys, that would have probably been a first or second match of the night. The reality is I probably got a cold beer and watched the rest of the show, and I was able to enjoy it and actually watch it and take it all in. And it was, helicoptering in's pretty cool way to enter an arena. That was cool. Even for Ric Flair, that was a big deal. And you just felt how big those stadium shows could be. And I think that set the precedent, kind of, wiped out the previous couple that didn't draw so well. And it was like a fresh new start.
I get it. It's a wrestling podcast, but he's saving us money on our mortgage. Do you really trust this process? The reviews don't lie. 5-star review after 5-star review. We make it fast, we make it easy, and it's no cost or obligation. Give us a shot to earn your business. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did, especially if you like keeping more of your own money. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket. So what are you waiting for? Hurry to SaveWithConrad.com. Yeah, it feels that way, to go from 1,900 one day to 23,000 the next. It's really something else. Let's keep it going. You're going to do a show in Rocky Mount, North Carolina on July 7th. You'll be working again in a 6-man with Ole and Rick against Ricky and Robert and Dusty. Another TV taping, this time for Pro. It'll be Ole and Arn taking on Mark Fleming and Gene Ligon. There's a dark match afterwards. which is Dusty, Magnum, Ricky, and Robert taking on the Four Horsemen. That had to be something else, man. Do you remember that dark match by chance? Dusty.
What town? What town was that?
This is in Spartanburg, South Carolina. All the horsemen on one side, Ricky and Robert, Dusty and Magnum on the other. Woof, they had to be hot for that.
Oh my God. Spartanburg, that's probably the biggest match Spartanburg had ever had.
And
Don't you think?
I would think so. And it's sold out.
God almighty, which, they advertised the dark match.
Yeah.
That was what sold the house when it was, not just the product selling out. You'd have a dark match that had some interest in it. And I would say that had some interest in it. Good Lord. I don't remember it, but I can only imagine because that building was hot. Good Lord. I mean, if it had air conditioning, it didn't get the job done. And man, we would have had a hell of a sweat rolling. All of us in there busting our ass. That would have been a great night for sure.
It sounds it. The next day, it's time for another event at a stadium, Cincinnati, at the Riverfront Stadium. Only 3,900 here, but you're going on last. It's Dusty and Road Warrior Hawk taking on Ole and Arn. It's a steel cage match. Dusty pins you. George Jones was doing the concert that night. Listen, this seems a little silly, but you grew up listening to a lot of these musicians who were here, and they're clearly very big stars in the country music genre. Do you have any fun memories of interactions with any of these guys like George Jones or what have you?
No disrespect to any of the country guys that were, and that were performing at these shows at that time. Again, 20 something, whatever I was, man, I was a Led Zeppelin freak.
Yeah.
I was a Molly Hatchet freak. I was a Motown freak. Country music at that time did not grab me.
I can't imagine it's a bash because here's the card. Barbarian versus Todd Champion, Garvin and Houston against Anderson and Khrushchev, Valiant versus the Baron, the Russians, Ivan and Nikita against the Rock and Roll Express, and then Don Kernoodle and Black Bart went on last. So that to me feels like maybe it was a sold show type of deal.
Bingo. I was fixing to say that. That would have been a bought show as just part of the festivities for the baseball game. With that lineup, you could just tell because there were a lot of names missing.
Yes. Well, with no Flair, with no Dusty, with no Magnum, it feels like they're like, well, we got to send a horseman, and you drew the short straw, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. You know what? I was just in those days, book me every single day. Things are going good. Things are happening in my life that I never thought possible. So go to Cleveland for the baseball game. Shit. Yeah. Why not?
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.